Hello everyone, you've tuned into Business Today and I'm Aakanksha. The Binance WazirX feud has been going on since Friday and has left 15 million Indian crypto investors in limbo. Today we have with us NS Nappinai. She's a Supreme Court advocate and the founder of Saathi. Thank you for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you for having me here.
So ma'am's going to help us, ma'am's going to shed light on this incident and how users and how investors can save themselves from such incidents from now on. So, ma'am, my first question to you is that amid this spat, we've just seen that WazirX users have been hurt the most. Off-chain transfers to the exchange have been halted. The native token of the exchange has crashed around 15%. Is there a legal remedy in place which investors can use against these companies to cover their losses?
Now, here is, you started off by saying that I would probably be giving some guidance for investor protection. That's a very high ask when you're talking about cryptocurrencies, because by their very nature and their volatility, investor protection is not necessarily something I would really kickstart a conversation with. But to answer your question specifically, firstly, what has been stopped is the off-chain transaction. In terms of the legality of it, also one needs to evaluate, because the entire process of off-chain as a choice is something that is being chosen more for the anonymity, the higher level of anonymity that is being provided. So in effect, it almost becomes more like an IOU where nothing is transferred, but on paper, physically, you are recording something as having been transferred, etc. So when you're trying to take blockchain enabled transactions to the next level, in terms of trying to circumvent the transparency that blockchain is giving, the very process itself may come under question pursuant to the ED's investigation. So the first thing is, it's definitely not good news for the companies. With respect to the investors, they cannot seek anything beyond what is their right, the contractual right with the company or the exchange that they are dealing with. So where a process has been stopped pursuant to an enforcement directorate or a government agency's action, invariably there would not be much scope for you to question the same. What you would have in hand, however, will be what you can seek as a remedy from the company. And for that, the contractual terms of WazirX with its customers, or for the matter, Binance with its customers, will prevail.
Okay, ma'am, that's really insightful. Seeing also the fact that, like you said, the off-chain transfers provided anonymity, and that actually put them on ED's radar. Ma'am, my next question to you is that were the governments and the Reserve Bank of India right to caution investors against cryptocurrencies, seeing how risky and volatile the markets are, and not just markets, even companies?
I have been very vocal on that topic, where I've said that it was actually not enough for RBI to just caution. So your question begs the issue in terms of, were they right to caution? Of course, they were right to caution, but were they right to just caution? That was not enough. We have now waited long enough. If you recollect, one of the earliest cautions that came was as far back as 2013. We are in 2022, so nearly 10 years down the line. And are we still talking about caution? We are still talking about a probable regulation. We are still talking about first a consultation paper before regulation 10 years down the line. So my short answer to that would be, a caution was fine, but it was not enough. It had to be a lot more. I have always batted for and continue to bat for regulation for this domain.
So, in case Binance, which is a foreign entity, shuts down WazirX, like the founder said in a tweet, what options would WazirX investors be left with in this case?
Again, whatever happens between Binance and WazirX will be between two corporate entities, which will be dictated by the contractual terms between the two corporate entities. As investors, again, To repeat my response from the first question, it would remain the same. They may not have a direct locus with Binance, so their remedies will lie directly with the entity with which they have transacted. So, what remedies will lie will be contingent on the terms of that contract, and what their recompense will also be dictated by that. And ultimately, every investor has to keep in mind that where at a first level, WazirX may not be able to respond to them, and I don't see it being a possibility. Given the current situation, given the fact that ED is cognizant of the issue, ED has frozen the assets of WazirX, then what exactly is the remedy that an investor can seek from WazirX? I'm sorry to give such a gray picture, but this is the reality that investors are going to have to wait and watch to see how the ED investigation turns out. And assuming WazirX is able to convince ED about its bona fides and its funds are released, that is when investors will have to or will have the opportunity to seek their remedies.
That's true, ma'am. It's a very grim picture for investors right now. Ma'am, do you think this incident highlights the need for regulation in the crypto markets? Like you previously said, you've called for regulation several times. And how can the government actually go about it?
Well, the first step for the government is to actually do something about it. The time for thought, the time for discussion, the time for just peroration is gone. We need action and we need it fast. And any form of regulation, whichever turn it takes, can only help this industry because either you will have certainty in terms of where India stands, or you will have certainty in terms of what is permissible and what is not. And that is what the clarity and certainty that any investor needs to ensure that their investment is duly protected. So, as you rightly pointed out, Aakanksha, from the beginning, we are talking about investor protection not just at the stage when they are investing, but also to give them an exit option. Today, investors are left with no real remedies except a contractual remedy at best, which is going to be very long drawn. And instead of clarity or certainty in terms of whatever they have done, there is going to be a sense of fear in terms of how their own actions of, let's say, an off chain transaction will be viewed if they go for remedy. So, certainty is actually good for investors. So I always say that people should not shy away from regulations. It's good for all stakeholders involved, and it will give clarity provided the government acts. And this is the way forward for government. Give certainty, take a definitive stand. If not for the sake of the industry, if not for the sake of the government, then certainly for the sake of investors.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope there is some clarity in the future in this industry and there is regulation brought in for investor protection. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.